All right, so I'm gonna do the demo on creating the iMac for the final piece of the bedroom. So to get started, I'm gonna start with making the screen, and then I'm going to create the metal stand. And so I've got some pictures here. This one, so I'll put it on the front view. So, rounded screen, rectangle shape, and then stand, slightly tapered. Yeah. So, side view, screen, slightly tapered, stand. Okay, so picking up from there, to make this screen, we're actually going to use a cylinder. And the reason why we're going to do that is we're going to use the cylinder's already rounded edges to make things easy for us. And you can also see from the side, it does have this thin lip here. Thank you. This thin lip here, where it is flat along the side as well. So, and then we'll extrude to create this rounding across the back. So I'm going to make a cylinder. Now, if I flip into my top view, you'll see that my corners, I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 subdivisions making the round edge of my corner. I'm going to go for an even 5, so I'm going to increase my subdivisions to 24, because that will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that'll give me 6. Whatever, I'm going to roll with it anyway. Okay, so 24 subdivisions. Oh no, that makes my math less easy. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Leave it with the default 20 subdivisions. Now, what I do want to do is make one of these flat faces be even with the side of this, because along the, the majority of this, it's flat. So I want it to be flat most of the time. So if I want to get this to the middle of these faces so that I can have them be flat here, I need to figure out how many degrees to rotate this. So if I rotate it this way, I can see it's about 9 degrees, or it is exactly 9 degrees, just by rotating and doing by eye. Now mathematically, I have a 360 degree angle, for my round cylinder. I have 20 sides, so divide 360 by 20, you get 18. So if I want to get into the middle of one of these faces, instead of rotating it 18 degrees, I rotate it 9 degrees. That's math for you. So now I have these 4, so I was right. Okay. I have these 4 that are my corners. So I'm just going to zoom out. And essentially what I'm going to do is just switch into vertex mode. And I'm going to grab these 5 sets of vertices here. And I'm going to move them up 2 and out 3. Do the same thing here. And so you can see what effect that is having on the shape of my cylinder. So now I have this shape for my screen. Now if you're super extra like me, I'm going to take this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over, and 3 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that will make the rounding at my corner much more focused. Okay, that's pretty big. But very round corners. The more I go out, the more they'll only be rounded at the tip. So much less round corners. Alright, so I got this done. I'm going to switch to my scale tool. And on the y-axis, I'm going to scale this down. Make it very thin. And it's off 9 degrees because that's what I originally rotated it. If you're wondering why this looks so weird. Okay. Oh, this is off slightly, it looks like. No. Just my eyes playing tricks on me. We're good. So, I got this done. Switch into my face selection mode. And I'm going to make the rounded back. Now I'm going to switch into my side view. Click and drag over my top and middle faces. And then hold Control to deselect from the bottom and middle faces, so I get left with just the faces on top. And I'm gonna extrude, go back into my side view, make this nice and easy on me. Pull it up slightly, switch right to my scale tool, scale in from the center. Now, we're looking at the taper here. So it's not tapered too much. So looks like that. Extrude again. Up. Scale in. Oh, whoops. Oh, switch to the regular scale tool. That's important. So now I've scaled this in. Oh. All right. Scale again. Lift it up not too much. Regular scale tool. Scale it in significantly. Extrude again. Lift it up not much. Oops. Regular scale tool. So you can see the amount of space I have between each of my extrudes. So nice and even. In fact, I might take this one and scale it out, push it down a little bit. Let's look at this from the side so you can see the shape we're building up. And then it should be, yep, just the faces on top. One more. Up, scale. Into my side view. Extrude one more time. Up, scale tool. There it is. And then if you want the back to look good, I'm going to switch into edge mode, select my 2 loops around the top here. Mesh display harden edge on those. And then I'm going to hold shift and drag over everything else, get every other edge except for those 2, and make sure those all end up soft as well. So now if I look at it, boom. In my last period, I showed them how to actually get rid of this effect by getting rid of some of my edge loops. Maybe I'll go back and do that later if I feel so inclined. So, but for right now, it's fine. Okay, so screen is done. Yeah, it definitely looked a lot nicer when I did it last period, but it's fine. All right, so we used a cylinder to make a mostly rectangular shape here. So now we're going to use a pipe to make the hole through our iMac. So there's a method called booleans where if I were so inclined, I could just punch a hole straight through my object, but for sake of using what we're somewhat familiar with, I'm just going to use a pipe, and we're going to make it flat and rectangular. Okay? So I'm just going to take a platonic solid, right-click here, and make a pipe. And I'm just going to scale up the size of this. Doesn't matter. Oh, this is okay, I was right. This is slightly off. Yeah, if I center my pivot, this is... Oh no, my eyes just playing tricks on me. I'm just crazy. Okay, so I got this. It would make things easier on me to increase the subdivisions of my pipe to 24. So that'll give me 6 on each side of this. Because what I'm going to do is select them 6 faces at a time on the outside of this and flatten these 6 faces at a time, and that will give me square sides to my otherwise round object. Alright, so I got this squared off. In object mode, I'm going to make it nice and thin. And so, essentially what I'm going to do is grab all the faces, or let's talk about this. Hold on. So this is the hole through this. Now if we go back and look at our picture, there is a small bit of metal that's around it. I think that we probably have too much metal. So I'm going to start with the ones that are on the faces that are along the side here. And I'm just going to scale this in a little bit. Okay. Next thing is that for sake of what we're going to do next, I'm going to take these faces that are on the front and back and get these as close as possible to the edge of where our circle is cut in. I'm also going to do myself a favor, select all of these faces that go around here and harden those edges. There we go. Bingo. Okay, so I got this circle. It's cut into a rectangular piece of metal. And then let's chat briefly about the base. So you guys can see it better from actually looking at your model, or at the actual computer you're modeling on, is what I mean. And essentially the top of this, let me see if I can do iMac rear view. Bingo! Okay, cool. So this is a slightly older model, but it more or less gets it right. Let's see. This one's relatively newer. So, no, I don't think it is actually. This one's good. So narrow at the top, wider at the bottom. Also, on this one, it looks like I was a little overzealous on the sizing of my, I need to add more space back for this. But main thing I wanted to show you, thinner at the top, wider at the bottom. Let's go back over here. So I'll do myself a favor and re-widen this out. Alright, that's probably fine. Okay. And so for the top and bottom, I'm going to select this. Now if we go back and look at this, it's about middle of the way between the top and the bottom. In fact, if we look at it from the more direct views, it probably is. Yeah, it's about halfway between the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to select my faces across the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to extrude me some new faces. Okay. And I'll resize these in a second. Now, before I go on to that part, I want to do some cleanup along the outsides of my circle. So it's giving me all these extra edge loops here, which in general aren't a problem, but they will sort of make my the next thing that I'm going to do more difficult, or at least more time consuming. So what I'm going to do is get rid of all of these loops, with the exception of the perfectly horizontal ones. And I'm going to snap this to the vertex next to it, this to my middle vertex, this to my middle vertex. I'm doing this top and bottom. So I took this 6 down to 3 edge loops. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. Snap this here, and here, this here, and here, this, here, and here, and this here, and here. Alright? Take my vertexes, select them, and merge them. Okay. So you'll see why that will help me out in a second. But basically, it just reduced the amount of edge loops I have along this side and this side of my object. Alright, cool. So, I'm going to grab all of my faces for just this portion up here. And I know that my object is scaling. Oh, it's an object. Okay, cool. It doesn't matter. Cool. So, if this is going to be the top portion of this, I want this to be slightly narrower. And then you can see the base is only slightly wider than how wide it gets at the bottom of the bending part for the base. So in this case, I'm honestly not even gonna worry about it for right now. So we'll come back to that in a second. So I mostly just want to make sure that this all slants properly from my top view. So to do that, I'm just going to grab these sets of vertices here, these sets of vertices here, and we're just going to try and create a nice even taper from here up to here. So I'll deselect these, taper these in more, deselect these, taper this in more. Boom. Look at that. Nice taper. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to add some new edge loops because I need to create some bent portions up here and up here. So I'm going to take insert edge loop, options, set it to 5, split 5 here and 5 up here, and then in the top section split 5 there and 5 there. And because it will make my life easier, I'm just going to take a second, grab my select tool, grab all these edge loops that I just added in that aren't at the top, and I don't need these actually, so I'm just going to go and delete them. I just wanted to have a nice 5 subdivisions up here at the tops and the bottoms, because now I'm going to add 2 bends. So I'm going to select these faces here, shift and caret, grow my selection, and I'm going to go ahead and do a deform, nonlinear, bend. And so there's my bend handle, our good friend, the bend handle. Curvature, I'm going to set to 180, just because I want to be able to see where my bend handle is. It's going this way. It's a dumb way for it to be pointed. So I'll help it be smart by rotating it. Rotate this down this direction, so that's -90, I'm guessing. And then I'll rotate it this way, which is another -90. Alright. And then I'm going to guess my high bound. Nope, I was a fool. So I need to turn one of these off so it's not bending at the wrong side. So in this case, it was my low bound. And essentially, that's how much I want it bent. If we look at it from the side, there's not a ton of bend going into the top of the base. So maybe I'll use my move tool and add a little extra bend in there, but otherwise it's mostly good. Alright, so I'll go ahead in object mode, select these both, and delete my history. So that will lock that side in. And so I'm going to go ahead and snap my pivot point up to the top middle of this. Whoops, I'm slightly off. There we are. Take that, hold V, snap it up here. And in this case, because it's like right on the back middle, I'm just going to manually move it up and slightly down. Alright, right back at it. So, I got this onto the back of my screen. I'm just going to rotate this slightly. Create that little arc in the back of this, and I'll push it down so it's slightly inside my screen. Okay, cool. Main problem is that this should be like over this part. So I made mine too long, I'm gonna go with. Yeah. So let's go back to Maya. And your first instinct might be like, oh, let's just scale it. Except this is now a weird oval. So instead, what I'm going to do is the best way to do this, unfortunately I must show you forbidden techniques to make it easy to fix. So I'm just going to select all these vertices here, and I'm going to go to my move tool, and I want to move these closer to this. So I'm going to, on my move tool, set and hold D to edit my pivot point, and I'm hovering over this middle edge, and you'll see that it says align, and I'm going to align with this edge. You'll see my pivot point is now snapped to the center of this edge. And then I will push this super close to this. But also, because I'm going to need to deselect these, and I'm going to push this down as well. Alright, that looks relatively accurate for what I need to do. Then I just need to go back here, my top view, real quick. And take, whoops, these three, and these three again, and reset my pivot on these. Scale these in. Deselect this. Deselect the middle. Alright, it's probably about the best I'm gonna get. Good enough. Okay. So got that there. Grab my faces. Grow my selection until I got them all selected. And you know what? Before I do this, you know what? I'm just gonna do it now. We're just gonna wing it. All right, so I got my face selected, nonlinear, bend. Same thing. I'm gonna set a bend value just so I can see which direction my bend handle is oriented. Going this way. Rotate it down this way. Alright, -90. Rotate it this way. Alright, this is +90. And then I just need to rotate this so that it's angled with this. But also, I want to turn one of these off. Nope. My low bound. Low bound is 0. And then I'm just going to push this way. I basically want the front of this to slightly arc forward. So that looks about good for me. Select this, edit, delete my history. And then I'm also going to mesh and combine these. And I'm going to move my pivot point. Oh, you're really telling me this is off center right now? No. Let me undo my... Hold on. There we go. Okay. That's fine either way. So let me just redo my combine. There we go. Rotate this bad boy 90 degrees on the X. And I'll lift this up. Grab faces. Oh, 5 minutes left. So I'm going to grab the faces on the front of this. Extrude. Move tool, move them forward, scale them flat, pull them down slightly, and if also, I'm being honest, if I go in my perspective view, should be slightly wider, slightly farther forward. And then I'm just going to extrude, pull it forward, scale tool, scale it in. Probably do this a few times, so and then there it is. Alright, so I got my stand, got my screen, base, circle cut in. You don't have to worry about this. And yeah. Sure. Yeah. Sure. See ya. Let's see. Do I want to show any of this? For those of you that might want to make the back of your screen a little smoother, I'm going to grab these edges here. This is the part where I should say on the video, you're done. Basically, this took longer than my other one. Wow. Okay. Whatever. You're done if you're at this part of the video. I'm just showing you how you can make the back of your screen a little cleaner. So I'm going to delete these edges here. And then I'm just going to use multi-cut. There to there. Whoa. There to there. And enter. There. I'm in the United Healthcare, so I'm on a different, So I cleaned up 2 of these loops, and then you can grab, I didn't grab all of them. This is where you make sure you have everything selected. Edit mesh, delete edge vertex, and then you can multi-cut there to there, and there to there. So you can see how this slowly tapers down to just one edge deep in there. So yeah. All right.